Hey guys, I figured I would do a super informal video about should you SBR something or not. But then the second item of business is, of course, tax stamps. The $200 tax stamp thing is not going to be a thing anymore in January as part of the big, beautiful bill. Um, so SBR suppressors, all NFA items, there's no longer going to be a $200 tax stamp except for transferable machine guns. I believe that's the case. But I'll just be talking about, should we do NFA stuff now? Should we wait till January? And then just the concept of should we SBR something to begin with? So let's get to it. So obviously SBR, it's going to be a rifle that has a barrel less than 16 inches. So when you SBR it, you can of course have a real stock. You can have a vertical grip if you so choose, and of course a barrel less than 16 inches. These are all three things that you cannot have if it's a braced pistol. You got to have a brace. Can't do a vertical grip. You could still have the shorter barrel, but that's of course what we're talking about of actually doing a short-barreled rifle. Okay, so on the front of should we even SBR something or should we just leave it as an AR pistol, or if you got a PCC, some 9mm, whatever, should we leave it as a pistol and just deal with the brace, or should we pony up and SBR something? So advantages of SBRing, again, you can have the short barrel, you can have the stock, you can have a vertical grip if you so choose. You can also have cool shit. So like if you're trying to do a proper Mark 18 clone build, or in some cases you don't have a choice. Like if you wanted to do an actual P90, FN is not going to sell you a P90S as an SBR. You've got to buy it with the 16-inch barrel and then have it, do your tax stamp Form 1. Once it comes back, then you can, cut down and rethread the barrel and actually have the proper thing. So in some cases, if you just want to have cool shit, or there's a certain build or there's a certain thing that you just gotta have, in some cases you're not going to have a choice. You've got to SBR it or SBS it, short barrel shotgun. Like if you wanted a Serbu super shorty, there's no other way to do it besides you're going to have to jump into a tax stamp, jump into an NFA item. So another advantage is while you're doing all this with your cool shit, your stocks, your vertical grips, that it's street legal. So if anything were to happen or some kind of legal situation were to occur, or you have that one undercover ATF dude at the range and they're like, hey, here's my badge, show me your tax stamps. You can just go about your life knowing that everything is street legal, and if there's any legal situation that were to show up, you know that everything's good to go. So those are some advantages if you choose to SBR something. Some disadvantages, at least right now, it's $200 that you got to pay. If you use the Silencer Shop Form 1 service like I have, that's $50 right there. And then you've got to pay somebody to engrave it, with your name or your trust name and location. So you're looking at, a little extra expense if you're going to do it, and especially right now with a $200 tax stamp. The next thing, and this is probably the biggest thing for most of us, but it is now a registered item with the ATF. So if you're buying normal firearms and you live in a free state like Utah, there is no statewide registry. There is no federal registry on normal Title I firearms. So you can still maintain that privacy, and whatever, guns you have is whatever. There's no state database or registry. There's nothing at the federal government level. But when you do register, like get a silencer or do an SBR, obviously the ATF now knows that you have that stuff, and submitting to the fingerprints and filling out the paperwork and your name, address, race, ethnicity, all that stuff, and then make, model, serial number, for sure they know that you have this thing. Kind of a breach of privacy, obviously, a little bit of mistrust in government, maybe that could come back to haunt you. Or, it could just be hackers, some data leak or some hack that happens, and now the list of what everyone owns and their addresses and stuff gets put out there. So the registration aspect of it is a big downside, and I totally get it, totally understand that. The next thing is interstate travel. So an SBR, if you want to travel, you're going to a carbine course down in Texas or whatever, you're visiting family and you just want to take your SBR with you, you're supposed to fill out the ATF form 5320.20, which is basically asking permission. Hey, I want to take this SBR through these states and for this purpose and for this period of time. As far as I know, they approve them. They take like a week or two for them to send it back. Unless there's something super egregiously wrong with your paperwork, they pretty much rubber stamp those. But it is an extra annoyance that if you want to go out of state with an SBR, that you have to submit the paperwork. What is interesting though is if you take off the vertical grip, take off the stock, and you put a pistol brace on it and you put it into a pistol configuration, then you don't need to do the paperwork and all that. Even though it is a registered NFA item, if it's back in a true pistol configuration, then you don't have to do the permission slip form. Kind of an interesting fact there. Another downside of SBRing something is, most state laws, you can have a loaded pistol in your car while you're driving around. Especially with the concealed carry permit and then the different constitutional carry states, you can have a loaded pistol, but you can't have a loaded rifle or shotgun in your car as you're just traveling and driving. So the concept of, hey, I'm going to slap a mag in my AR pistol, chamber around, and then just stow the sling, close the dust cover, and, there's some like rioting or something, or going to a sketchy part of town, and you're just going to load up your AR pistol and just throw it, by the seat or on the floorboard. That's not something legally you'd be able to do because now it's a rifle. Most of us will just, if we want to keep it street legal, we'll just have it fully unloaded and just have a mag next to it. But the legal ability, to slap a mag in it, charge around, and drive around like that, it's not a pistol anymore. It's an SBR. It's a rifle. So something to consider. Something else is enhanced sentencing. So God forbid you do have to use, your SBR for home defense or in a self-defense situation. If they find anything wrong with that shoot, or maybe it's not murder, but they're looking at manslaughter, or hey, why did you do this? Or if there's anything questionable about it, and they're looking at trying to charge you with something, or disorderly conduct with whatever, there is more sentencing or minimum years added to your sentence depending on what the charges are. But if you do have an SBR and you're involved in some kind of legal situation, whether it's a self-defense shoot or brandishing or whatever, there are legal differences and potentially enhanced sentencing just based on the fact that it is a short-barreled rifle versus if it was just an AR pistol or a normal standard rifle. So that's something else to consider. Now, the larger conversation of, should we acquire NFA stuff now, or should we wait till January when there's going to be no tax stamp fees whatsoever? There's kind of pros and cons to each. So the advantage of, if there's an SBR that you want to make or buy on a Form 4, if there's a suppressor that you want to buy, the advantage of doing it now, the disadvantage is you're going to be paying $200 where you won't need to pay that in a couple months. So that's a disadvantage. You're paying the $200 when you're about to not need to. But the advantage is we still have short, normal, or the modern normal wait times right now. One of my buddies, he just got his RC2 back. It took him 7 days. So his strategy was, I'd rather just do it now. I know I'm paying $200 when I'm about to not have to, but I'd rather just physically get it now and just get it done with the short wait times and just have it versus January. Because In January, if you choose to SBR something or get a suppressor, make a suppressor, or buy an SBR, whatever, you're not paying a $200 tax stamp anymore, so that's going to be awesome. But everyone and their brother is doing it. So the wait times for the ATF, no one really knows, if we can do 3 to 7 days for a suppressor now, same day approvals that we've been seeing here and there. If that's what we became used to now, that's not going to be the case come January. Everyone and their brother is going to be doing it. So we're going to see enhanced wait times. I don't know how bad it's going to be, but it's not going to be as short as it is now. And I just a rough guesstimate, I think the first several months of 2026, people are going to be waiting a number of months, for their cans. And we're going to go back to a longer, I can't see it being like 18-month waits and how things used to be, but it's going to be a longer wait. So the other downside is inventory. Everyone's going to be ordering cans. I think a lot of suppressors at your local gun shops they're going to be out of stock. The online dealers like Silencer Shop, the distributors of what your local gun shop can get in, like suppressors are just going to be out of stock. So if, there's a suppressor that the company only makes so many every year, or they're about to discontinue something, or, I just really want that can, chances are it's probably going to be out of stock and the wait times are going to be long if you do find something that you can actually buy. But the advantage, again, you're not going to be paying $200 for a tax stamp. So at the end of the day, you got to decide what your strategy is going to be. I know that there's across the country, there's, either regular customers, favorite customers, gun shop employees. They might have fucking 10 suppressors in the back that they've paid half or paid full for. And they've told the gun shop, hey, we're not going to submit all the Form 4s until January. So that way I can save $1,000, $2,000 worth of tax stamp, fees. And that makes sense, but there's a bunch of bombs about to drop on that. Like across the country, there's got to be really wealthy people, gun shop employees, regular customers that they've got all kinds of stuff in the back with their name on it. And as soon as January hits, they're going to do all the paperwork then. So again, that's going to help extenuate the wait time that we're going to be seeing for SBRs, for Form 4s, for suppressors. So just things to think about in terms of if you want to SBR something or not, and either leave it as a pistol or if you finally want to SBR something. And then the whole January situation, do we just bite the bullet, pay the $200 now because we can physically get it and it's a short wait time for them to approve it? Or do we try to save that tax stamp money in January, but then it's going to be hard to find stuff and who knows what's going to happen to the wait times? So just things to think about. I figure I would do a little video on this now as we're approaching Thanksgiving, moving into Christmas, end of the year. We're all just kind of saving our money and just seeing how we can best use it, still have a good Christmas and just, all that. So things to think about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and go ahead and comment if you got any other stuff to add or anything else. So thanks for watching.